All right. Hello, professionals. My name is Rico Aladdin, and I am the founder of Professional Lunch. Today, we have Andy Reierson here, the CEO of RR46. It's a pleasure to have high profile guests on the show because we are bringing you great content. But before we start the conversation, I have a favor to ask you. If you have not followed Professional Lunch yet, I would kindly ask you to do so because this is how we keep the program going. This is how we keep the podcast going. And the more of you who subscribe, who follow our pages, we can get better guests, higher profile guests on the podcast. So I thank you in advance for your follow. Now, Andy, welcome to Professional Lunch. It's a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you here, man.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Be
Wonderful.
with you.
Please tell the Professional Lunch audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Andy Reierson. I'm the CEO of RR46. We're a small family of companies that includes Flint Group, Ad Farm, Prime 46, and Contact, all in the marketing services area. So we do a lot of advertising, digital marketing, PR for other companies.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now I understand that you are the CEO of all these companies, or you are the CEO of just one.
Of all the companies.
Okay. So,
Yep.
right. Okay. First job. What was your first job you ever had? Is
First job I ever had. So going back to high school,
yeah.
I think the first job I ever had was bagging groceries at Hornbacher's in Moorhead. Um, must have been between my junior and senior year of high school, somewhere in there. And then I also uh, did some insulation work for a company called Cullen Insulation, which is still in business around here today. And from there, kind of graduated, went to college in Duluth. And my first real job out of college was actually playing professional hockey for 2 years.
Oh, we have a hack. I don't think we ever have a hockey player on this.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm the first, I guess.
Yes, yeah. So now you are the CEO of a group of companies,
Yeah.
and that does things with marketing. What do you do as a CEO?
Well, that's a great question. I think the obvious answers are our company strategy. Honestly, looking at the future, where we need to be in 3 to 5 years, how do we make the changes we need to make today in order to get there? I spend a lot of my time dealing with and working with the leadership teams of each of those business units that are part of our group. And then we have a couple of areas, more the administrative side, working with our finance, HR, and IT teams. And then we actually have a leadership development program that we've developed that is kind of my baby, and I'm really excited about, which focuses on finding the next generation of leaders to serve within our company. So we select people throughout our organization to go through this program. It's a 6-month program, and I spend a lot of time in those sessions and kind of helping to shape the direction of that program.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, today we'll be talking about marketing strategies to grow businesses because this is your powerhouse. This is your cup of tea right there. And how long have you been working in marketing? Because this is all these companies are around marketing.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think so. Directly been involved since 2006. That was the time I joined this organization and started in the account services area and kind of held various positions within the organization up until today. But it is a family company, so my father has been involved for a long time, since 1976, I believe. And so I kind of feel like I've grown up in the company itself and in the marketing services area.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling the story to our leadership program, the people in our leadership program a couple weeks ago. I think my first real taste of marketing and of advertising happened when I was maybe about 6 years old, where I got to go up in a hot air balloon as part of a shoot for a client that we were working on. We went up on a hot air balloon, and the photographer was in with us, and I just got to ride along, obviously. And he was taking photos of the farm fields below for a client that we worked on. So
That sounds like fun.
so it was a great introduction.
Uh-huh.
Not every day has been a hot air balloon ride since then, unfortunately, but
Mm-hmm.
that was a great experience and kind of a great introduction for me as a kid into the work my dad and the company were doing, and that kind of brought me full circle back into the business
Okay.
in 2006.
Wow, 2006 to 2024. That's 18 years, almost 2 decades here. You have been in marketing. So, is it RR46 or R46?
It's RR46, and
Okay.
quite honestly, we don't talk about RR46 a whole lot because it's in essence a holding company that has our four business units underneath.
Okay. So, for business, the family business has four
Yeah.
businesses
So
under the umbrella, under that umbrella. Okay.
yep, yep.
Okay. So family business, I love that term, family business, because sometimes I think there might be some little differences between a traditional business and a family business. So is that something that you notice because you have worked for different companies?
Yeah, there definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I think in our case, not so much now, but as I was coming up through the company, there was a lot of business talk around the family dinner table,
Mm-hmm.
and I think when the business is so tied into your family and you eat, sleep, and drink it, it inevitably comes up in conversations, even when, say, you're just on vacation or hanging out at the lake or out for dinner, which can annoy your spouse and it can annoy other people that are there, but
Yeah.
but it does tend to rear its head in conversations
Yeah.
when you don't expect it or when it's not expected.
Wonderful. So, four different companies. What does each one of
Yep.
them does, and also how do they complete each other?
Yeah, that's a
If
good
yeah.
place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so people in the Fargo Moorhead area are probably most familiar with Flint Group.
Mm-hmm.
Been around for a long time, since 1946, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So Flint is a marketing services company. Does, like I said, a lot of advertising, public relations, digital marketing for other companies. So we'll do anything from, you know, marketing strategy all the way down to designing ads, placing social media posts, doing press releases. So kind of the full service of what a marketing organization does.
Mm-hmm.
Flint primarily works in equipment manufacturing space and professional services.
Okay.
So we do a lot of work with banks, health care and health insurance services, and then equipment manufacturers like Bobcat or AGCO or some of those. Local here, but also have offices in Duluth and Kansas City, Missouri. So that's Flint. Ad Farm is a marketing services company, but completely focused on agriculture. So they will work, what we like to say, they will work with any company that has a direct line to the farm itself. So equipment manufacturers, again, tractor manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the seed companies, biologicals, people that are working with farmers or trying to sell product to farmers. Their offices are in Calgary, Kansas City, and then just outside of Toronto and Guelph, Ontario. They also have people sprinkled around the U.S. in ag areas, some in California, some in Georgia, so kind of spread out. And then Prime 46 is a market research company. So they'll partner with organizations who are trying to gain insights from a target audience or trying to get information to develop new products. And they'll work through our marketing companies, but also work directly with clients on market research. And then Contact is a smaller marketing services agency too that does work in a number of different areas, but has a lot of agricultural clients as well.
Wonderful. So,
Yeah.
um, you have four different companies doing advertising work, and marketing work. How do they differ from other places? What makes their service stands out?
What makes like against each other
Yeah, no,
or
against
the
other.
market
Yeah,
as a whole?
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
they each have kind of different positions
Yeah.
within the market space.
Hmm.
I look at Ad Farm and clearly, their differentiation is really, that knowledge of agriculture. In fact, a number of our employees at Ad Farm actually grew up on a farm or are still some way connected to a farm.
Hmm.
So they bring a lot of inherent knowledge about what makes growers, what makes producers tick, and how do they make decisions? Why do they make decisions? So bringing that knowledge to the companies we work with, in order to help them market to the farm is extremely important. Flint is what I would say, very business focused marketing. So the effort that we always talk about from a Flint perspective is we help solve really all sorts of client challenges, and it's focused on the business strategy side of things and how can we utilize marketing to help impact their business success. So I think that's been a key driver of ours. We always do what's right for the client, not what is going to make us the most money. And we've had some really, really long-term clients on the Flint side, working with some of them for over 50 years.
Wow.
So I think the average tenure for client relationships in the advertising world is 3 years or maybe even a little less now. And, the average tenure of Flint's clients has been, probably over, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but for sure over 8 years. So they've
Wow.
done a great job of really building relationships and
Retaining.
doing what's right for
And
clients.
and this is a perfect segment to my next line of questions because we want to talk about client relationships,
Yep.
right? How do you build strategies to ensure long-term relationships with those clients that you have?
Yep.
That was the exact question that I have, and you kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can follow up on that.
Yeah. I think across our organization, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is understanding that at the heart of it, we are a service organization. We're a professional services organization, and whether it's Ad Farm or Flint or Contact, clients come to us for a reason, and it's not just our thinking. It's also that they expect and want us to deliver things on time, on budget, and do it with the best thinking we have available. And I think what's set us apart over the course of what are we since 1946? I don't even know how many years that is. Probably close to 80 at this point. What set us apart is really the attention to service. One of the things we really commit to within our organization is making sure we're responding in a timely fashion, making sure if we say we're going to do something by a certain date and at a certain budget that we do it. I think it seems like such an easy thing to accomplish, but you've been in the business world and you've seen it. It's not common, right? I mean, there's not a lot of companies out there that hit deadlines, communicate clearly, very clear on expectations, clear on budget. We're really big on doing what we say we'll do when we say we'll do it by and at the budget the client has asked for. So that's been a continual focus and something we've really tried to drive home with new employees as we bring in, and also just reminders along the way. And then obviously, I think bringing the expertise, bringing all the different disciplines that happen within the marketing services area, and paying attention to technology and how it impacts our business, and making sure that we are at the forefront of adopting these things and bringing them to our clients as they come online.
Wonderful. I love that. And as you were talking about service, one thing we like to say on professional lunch is, as professionals, regardless of your career path, you are called to serve,
Yeah.
because people come to you to fix their car,
Yep.
to help to solve their problem. So, by solving their problem, you are serving them, you are helping them out. So,
Yep.
which is really cool. And uh, in when you talk about serving client, what would be an example of a happy client in your industry?
What would be an example of a
Yeah.
happy
Do you
client?
have an example of a happy client that you
Uh,
can share with me?
yeah. Um, I don't know if I have a specific example of a
Mm-hmm.
happy client off the top of my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would point to uh, what I think is an example of how we've been able to grow. A lot of our growth has happened across all of our different companies because the people we've worked with at one organization
Mm-hmm.
uh, have moved or gotten new jobs or promotions into other organizations and have brought us into that company as well. So I think um, when we look at our part of our growth strategy,
Mm-hmm.
it's not even really a strategy. It's just a part of taking care of clients and doing what's right. But part of our growth happens because we take care of our clients and we do the work that we do and serve them how they want to be served. And then because of that, as they move, they bring us along to wherever that new organization is and bring a new opportunity to our organization. So,
Wonderful. So, okay. What's the most common feedback that you have received from clients?
uh, well, I'm not going to lie and say that we never receive negative feedback because I don't think you'd be a company if you don't ever have some negative feedback. But uh, you know, we just got an email from a client who left a company, and she was a skeptical client at first when we started working with her, and the email was really about how wonderful our team was to work with, how hard we worked on their behalf, and that we really treated her like she was the only client in our group, and so I think those kind of situations where it feels like it's easy in an organization where you have multiple clients to only pay attention to maybe the one or two that are the biggest that drive a lot of the revenue and a lot of the work. So I think hearing that from a client who wasn't the biggest in our organization shows that we're giving equal attention
Yeah.
to all our clients throughout the organization.
Wonderful. I love
Yeah.
that. And so this is that I've had this question, for a while now, because now that people are talking about digital marketing and traditional marketing, how do you make the difference?
Well, I don't know if there is much of a difference anymore in
Okay.
terms of how we go about our work.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be clear lines within departments.
Mm-hmm.
You used to have a digital marketing team, and they were kind of held separately from the traditional side. But now in our world, everything is so integrated, and it's more about what's the right way to get your message in front of that client or customer to start the conversation. And so, when we look at the channels, so to speak, digital, traditional, whatever that might be, it's more about how can we get our message
Mm-hmm.
out. Where are they gonna? Where are the places that they're spending their time?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we make sure that we interact with them in some way and drive them to action in some way?
Well, wonderful. So, what do you foresee as the biggest challenge uh, in the marketing industry in the next, I don't know, 3, 5 years?
For sure, the biggest challenge for us is going to be AI,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a challenge and also an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point right now where nobody really knows how far it's going to go, what it's going to look like. Are there going to be regulations put in place from governments? It's kind of the Wild West right now, and it also, in theory, can you know make our work a lot more, give people the ability to do a lot more work
Mm-hmm.
using artificial intelligence. We are using it already in lots of different places, and it's kind of client dependent. Some clients don't want us to use it, and others are fully good,
Mm-hmm.
are okay with us embracing it. So it's more of a augmentation to what we're currently doing to help streamline and get work done more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Where it goes from here, I think we're all kind of just holding our finger up in the wind to see where the developments come and what does it look like. But we're making some investments in that area. We're also training our employees on how to use AI, particularly the Chat GPT and um, some of the other AI technologies that are out there, that are at our disposal to augment our work right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I've never heard anyone talk about maybe some regulation before because, as you said, it's really what did you say? It's the wild wild west.
Yeah.
So that was a good term. Yes. And so professional lunch is really about when I bring professionals like yourself on.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to get um, from having you sharing your experience on the platform is really to help that 19-year old, 17-year old who's in high school, just entering college,
Yep.
um, see the possibilities in that industry. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
as a CEO, you've been a CEO for how long?
Since 2018.
Okay, 2018. That's 6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really. I mean,
maybe 19.
so 6 years. So, if a young man is listening to you right now, wants to find a career in marketing,
Mm-hmm.
what should he do? What should they do?
Uh, Obviously, there's the traditional path of getting a degree in marketing or
Mm-hmm.
communications through a university.
Mm-hmm.
I think the number one thing that I see with people that have success in our line of work is they have a unbelievable curiosity, and they have a knowledge of what makes people tick. I think if you look at what our work boils down to, it really comes down to messaging and leveraging messaging across different media, and then understanding customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding clients and customers. How do they make decisions? What's important to them? So people that kind of have that psychology background, but also have this insatiable curiosity to figure out how the latest and greatest technology works and how people are using it, and
Mm-hmm.
um, what are people doing in social media today? Where is AI going? Like, if I look back at our industry, the people that have had success within our organization are the people that have embraced change. Because if you look at marketing services, it's probably an industry that's changed as much as any over the years. You had, the website boom of the late early 90s, mid 90s, somewhere in there. you kind of had the social media boom. So there's been all these different technology booms that have impacted our business, and now you have AI.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're willing to embrace and explore and figure out how you can leverage those things, um, if you don't have that, you're going to get passed by
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. Mm. Wonderful. So, the reason why I asked that is because I want to know how or what do you look for in a new team member that you want to bring on
Yeah.
your company?
Yep. I look for, I think I'll go back to that curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I look for people that are well read, always like keeping up on trends or what's new. I look for people that don't have to be the smartest person in the room and are willing to listen and understand other people's perspectives or the expertise that other people bring to the conversation. People that ask really good questions, not just the surface level questions, but are willing to really dig deep to find answers to things. And people from a diverse kind of background. I think, the more we can build teams with people with diverse upbringings, diverse backgrounds, diverse perspectives on the market and the world, and the stronger our thinking and ideas are.
Well, wonderful. The podcast is about your professional career also. So we spend a great deal of time talking about about marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you what has been your proudest moment as a CEO for the last 6 years?
Yeah, I think when you're the CEO, you never really spend a lot of time going back and patting yourself on the back for anything. It's kind of just what's in front of you moving forward. But if I look back at maybe kind of a defining moment or something that really kind of embedded me into the job, it's probably when COVID hit. I was a newer CEO at the time, and we got hit with basically we went from having a test run, everybody work from home day, that we were going to check systems and make sure everything was working the way it needed to work. And when we had that day, that was the first day of everybody being out of the office completely for however long it was. I don't even remember. But so our test day actually turned into day one of everybody working remote.
Really?
Yeah. And so, at that point, I, like probably many other that were in my position at the time, were sitting there going through trying to figure out what's the impact going to be to our business. We spent a lot of time talking with clients, understanding what they're doing, going through, all the important things that matter to a business like ours. What does cash flow look like? What does productivity look like? Are we getting paid on time? How much money is sitting out there? And, we were meeting on a weekly basis, running through the key numbers in our organization for probably 6 months till we really took a step back and said, okay, I think we're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
We can back this off a little bit. But I tell you what, it was an intense time. It was exhausting, but it also was. I enjoyed it. I like the focus and intensity of situations like that, and it was almost kind of a little. I don't know if I'd call it hangover is probably the wrong term, but a little bit of a hangover after we realized everything was going to be fine and our business was doing well. You kind of took that deep breath and the intensity wasn't there anymore. So it was kind of like I missed it, you know.
So, you know, I've asked quite a few guests about this question. How did COVID sort of change the way they see work? What
hmm
about you?
Yeah, you know, I think that the obvious answer for us was we were so set on kind of a work from office model prior to COVID. And one thing we learned coming out of COVID is that, you know, there's an opportunity for people to work from home and still have as much, not lose on the productivity side of things, give our employees a little more flexibility. And so, you know, we learned that going through it. I would say, you know, today we're not 100% back in the office. We are, you know, probably our employees probably average about 3 days in the office and a couple days working out of the office. And there's pluses and minuses we've learned over the years now to that. But that was probably the number one thing we took out of that is it you know, coming out of COVID, it became very clear that it's a lot easier to work remote than maybe what we anticipated prior to COVID.
Mm, wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the industry insights. So
hmm
how has, and then you talk about that a little bit earlier, how the marketing industry has changed since your
hmm
career. Can you think of any other things that you can add to that?
Um, yeah, I don't know if I think I've kind of covered the topic well. Obviously, you know, more and more um, dollars spent on marketing continue to go to internet or online related activities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, digital marketing, social marketing, um, podcasts, podcast sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
So that trend has not kind of gone away. I think just the measurement aspect of it and being able to really be accountable for the dollars spent and being able to track the impact of what you're doing has led to that. But you know, I think the one thing everyone still sees is that there is a role for traditional, what we call traditional, which would be, you know, your TV ads, radio, print. Those things still have a role in the mix. And so, as much as everybody thought all that money was going to shift and go away, it's still playing an important role in the marketing mix.
Hmm, wonderful. So I was gonna. One of the things I am curious to hear is, what do you think is the most is the biggest misconception in the marketing industry?
Biggest misconception. You know, I think I don't know if this is. I think Mad Men uh, kind of expose people to the way, and I think a lot of actually what they portrayed in that show was true back in the day. You know, I think there's maybe still some belief that a lot of what happens in the advertising space is a bunch of creative, kind of off the wall folks and creatures walking around an office coming up with ideas. And maybe that's the case in some of the, you know, large advertising agencies out on the coast. But for the most part, I look at our organization and some of the others that, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet at some of the other agency owners and, you know, pretty business savvy folks in those organizations. And it's not just, you know, throwing creative ideas at a wall and seeing what we can sell to a client. I think there's a lot of really good, smart strategic thinking that truly impacts business. And creative's just one aspect of what we do. It's not, in fact, it's a key part, but it's not everything.
Oh, wonderful. So, professional lunch, when we met last time, we talked about that. We will be a mentoring platform for young professionals to learn from others. That is the goal as of now. So, um, did you ever have a mentor, or what is your opinion on mentoring relationships?
I think they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I shouldn't say. I mean, I think mentorship is great for everybody as long as you find the right mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think,
love that.
yeah, I think, I was fortunate for myself because my mentor was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see it, breathe it, live it
Mm-hmm.
all the way up. Um, his experience with the company was very different than my experience or where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to see the passion, the love, the energy, and the commitment he had to help drive the business forward really helped shape me in terms of how I approach the work. Now, the way I approach it and what I do today is very different than what he did as he was building it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but back to the mentorship question, I think, you know, mentorship is a two-way street, right? And I think if you have a mentor or you find a mentor that is going to invest their time and energy in helping you succeed and answering the questions, and is somewhat relatable or has experience that's relatable to what you're going through, I think you can learn a lot. Um, you know, if it's a one-way conversation, or it's somebody that has a totally different set of circumstances, or just their experiences aren't relatable to what you're going through, I think then you're just having a mentor to say you have a mentor. You're not really probably gaining what you need in order to further advance your career.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's that remind me of a conversation I have with President Downs just a few weeks ago about mentorship. Sometimes, and he clearly said that when you have a mentoring relationship, the relationships are it's almost like two best friends, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that there is an exchange, there is some similar values, there is some things that really keep the relationship going. And
Yep.
if the way you mentioned, it cannot be a one-way relationship where the mentee come in, ask the
Yep.
question, and then get the answers, and then and get out. So I think that was a great point there.
Yeah, and I think in an ideal situation, like I look at it from my perspective, if I have a mentee or someone that I'm working with that's younger than I am, it would be my goal to learn as much from them
Mm-hmm.
as they're learning from me, right? I
Yep.
think, us as, I hate to say this now, but it's reality, getting mid kind of later into my career, we have a lot to learn from the new professionals, younger professionals coming up. Like they've grown up in totally different atmosphere and set of circumstances and are coming into a market that is unshaped for them. And who knows what the jobs are going to look like in 5-10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more we can keep a pulse on what's next, the more effective we can be in our later careers as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wonderful. So, you are in charge of, 4 different companies. Um, how how does the family as a whole, the companies as a whole, give back to the community?
Yeah. So we do a number of different things. We do kind of your standard donations into causes that we feel really um, really good about. We've done United Way campaigns every year in our organization and have set some pretty aggressive goals and have hit them, as well as I think one of the more unique and fun things that we do is on the Flint side, we have an internship program. And so every year we accept applicants for our internship program, and we build a small team of interns and take on some work for local nonprofits. The interns will do that work for them pro bono. And so our work basically is to help them build campaigns or run a campaign or do marketing for these local nonprofits at really no cost to them, so that we can help showcase what they're doing and the impact they're making in the community and beyond. And then, on the ad farm side, we do a lot of work with 4-H and a lot of the programs that help drive agriculture forward. I don't have the numbers or any of the details in front of me, but
that's right.
those are just a couple examples of what we do.
Wonderful, man. I really like you sharing about marketing today, and I think that the people who are listening to this, especially the young people who are in school or in college right now, will take will get something to use from the conversation. So again, the conversation is about you. What is your greatest personal achievement?
That's an easy one for me. I think the greatest personal achievement has nothing to do with work. I think it's all about my family. And, I have 2 kids that I love and adore, a 16-year-old boy and a 13-year-old daughter, and a lovely wife that I met in school at UMD. And they're what keep me going every day. They're not afraid to give me a nice dose of reality when I get home if they need to, or put me in my place or laugh at me, which I think is super important. And so that's really what drives me and motivates me, and they are by far the biggest achievement I've had in my life.
Wonderful. I love that. Very cool. So, again, this is the part at the end of the conversation. I usually ask the guests for advice for young professionals who are launching their careers. And I think to me, that's very important. I wouldn't be here today without the advice of, professionals like yourself with greater experience and greater achievements. So what advice do you have for young professionals who are launching their careers, especially those in the marketing industry?
Yeah. I think probably the biggest piece of advice I have is jump at every opportunity you have to learn something new. I think I mentioned this already, like within our marketing area, things change so frequently. And it's really the people that don't sit back and wait for their manager or their boss to come to them and say, I want you to learn this. It's the people that have already jumped in on their own time or have jumped in by themselves to pick up a new skill or pick up something and then bring it to their manager and say, hey, I figured out how to do this. Is there a way we can take advantage of this with this opportunity or whatever it might be? But the biggest piece of advice is jump in, learn, embrace change, and stretch yourself. Because I think the more you stretch yourself, the more you push yourself into new areas and take on new challenges, the greater value you're going to bring to wherever you end up.
Wonderful. I love that. People who take initiative and get involved, usually, you don't have to tell them much.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You already see that they have
the drive.
They have a drive to do
Yep.
things, so which is really good. And we get to the last few minutes of the conversation. I want to thank you so much for being on Professional Lunch today and sharing your experience, sharing about this industry that is changing and an industry that all businesses, literally need to grow and and share what they do and what the product they sell. So, any last word for the Professional Lunch audience?
Well, I wanted to say thank you
Mhm.
for the opportunity to have the conversation with you today, and I hope I brought some bit of value and knowledge to the people that are listening here today. But more than anything, I would say, I'm thankful and blessed with the team that I get to work with
Mhm.
every day, and they're the ones that really help drive the success of the organization and the success of our clients, which is the most important thing. So, um, thank you for the opportunity,
Mhm.
and thank you to all those people I get to work with every day.
Wonderful. The team, because we cannot do it alone, right?
Exactly.
It's a great point acknowledging the team there, the team support. Thank you, Andy, so much for being on Professional Lunch.
Thanks, Rico.
Wonderful. Now, again, I want to ask you if you have not followed Professional Lunch yet, please give us a follow because we want to be able to bring guests like Andy here, very accomplished in their line of work, to bring you their knowledge, their expertise, and advice for you to learn, in your career. So we thank you in advance for supporting Professional Lunch. Professional Lunch is also a non-profit organization, so we rely on guests, friends, and other partners to keep the podcast going and also to do what we do. So find me on social media and reach out to me and find out how you can help. We appreciate your support. Now, this is the part that I tell you. It's up to you to make today a great day. Have a great day.